Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Walk. I'm Tony Leon, your host. This is the place where you'll be enlightened, encouraged, and empowered to work out your own salvation without fear of being led astray. For we walk by faith and not by sight. And faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And God's word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. And as we go on this journey together, we're going to follow the Lamb, Jesus Christ, wherever he goes, and we shall do so in spirit and in truth. Now, before we get started, I would like for you all to subscribe, hit that notification bell, like, share, and comment. Also, if you're so inclined, I would like for you all to send us an email. Now, it says endure to be saved at gmail.com. That's endure, the number 2, letter B, saved at gmail.com. And what I want you all to do is I want you all to send us your contact information if you would like to get on our list. Because my wife, what she does is before the show, she'll send out this blast to everyone who's on the list as a reminder. I know we all have the so-called YouTube notifications, but for those people who are just not used to seeing the notifications because maybe they turned them off, well, then you can get that reminder and thanks. So let's get started with our program with COVID Corner. Now, it appears that we have peaked. Now, what does that mean? This is what I want to think about it as. First of all, let's go over the numbers. I feel bad when we go over these numbers, but we just have to do it, just to keep the solidarity. All right, check this out. This is the numbers, the U.S. numbers. The numbers are huge. I feel like it's almost redundant me going over these numbers. I mean, almost 12 million? 255,000 deaths? Okay, I'm just a little upset when I think about these numbers. Moving on to the world numbers, pretty bad. I mean, this is the recent numbers, right? Okay, this is terrible. You all see them on your screen. I'm not even going to go into that. This is what I want to show you all, though. Go to this one. That curve right there, and that is of today, right? This curve right here, and I said this before, we had the first wave, and you can see that first hump. Second wave, second hump. Third wave, third hump. I don't know if you all noticed this, but it's kind of like going into like a plateau or a peak. And then you see the cases, nearly 12 million. Deaths, 255,000. But look at the hospitalized. I went over this last week. Hospitalized, I believe that number is as of today. That's how I can read it. 82,000. This is pretty bad, and let me explain why. These hospitals are basically full. So let's say you got COVID and now you're exhibiting symptoms. You're not asymptomatic, you're not pre-symptomatic, you're symptomatic. And you go to the hospital. What's going to happen? Oh, you can come back to me. When you go to the hospital, you will probably be sitting in a waiting room, emergency room, and this has happened. I'm just letting you all know. People, this is serious. People sitting in the emergency room have been huffing and puffing and they can't breathe and they eventually die because there's nobody to tend to you. This is pretty bad. I don't know if you all are thinking of it like I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at it like this. Like the Bible says, a man without vision perishes. We have to be able to have a vision in our mind and see what's really happening here. I know you don't see people dropping in the streets. I know you don't see that. I don't see that. But can you imagine when that time comes and then it hits you and all of a sudden now you start taking special care in your own life? No, we need to start doing that right now because the hospitals are full. If you get COVID, you start exhibiting symptoms and you go to the hospital, there's a likelihood that you're not going to make it. It's just that bad. We're living in perilous times. Okay, so look at this right here. This is the 3 top COVID states in America. North Dakota, okay, that was number 1, continually number 1. But something happened. Wyoming is number 2 and South Dakota number 3. South Dakota was number 2 continually, right? So, but it's still bad. So don't look at it like, oh, South Dakota's doing so well. No, they're doing bad because they're still in the top 3. These are peaks. But like I said before, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you all can see this, but just look at South Dakota. Yeah, that's a good example. You see how it kind of peaked? And it seemed like now it's starting to taper off just a little bit, which shows maybe we're now in that curve. Because that's kind of how it did it in 1918 with the so-called swine flu, or they call it the Spanish flu, which I don't get why they call it Spanish flu other than the fact that Spain took it upon I guess they were obligated to say, we got to do something about it. So here we have where it's starting to plateau and starting to peak from what it looks like. I don't know if that's the truth or not, because next week it can get just as bad and it could just go right back up because, like I said, poor leadership. This is all about poor leadership. It seems to me I heard something that came out of the White House, which kind of surprised me because usually I don't hear this kind of information. They were talking about we should start wearing cloth masks and start wearing masks. That's what the White House is saying. I'm like, okay, that's good information because we need to start hearing it. I guess maybe now it's starting to hit them like, oh, this is pretty bad, especially when we're going into the winter months. And then when we're looking at these numbers, especially South Dakota, I'm looking at it like this. I want to show you all something, and I want you all to just take it all in as in a teachable moment. Maybe for us, because it's showing for this governor of South Dakota. Check this out right quick, because this is something for us to learn from. Check this out. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going over here. We're going over here. Sorry. Okay. Roll it.
Well, days after the football championships wrapped up, people are still debating how much Governor Kristi Noem wore a mask at the Dakota Dome. The question first came up during an interview with nurse practitioner earlier this week.
I mean, I'm from Pierre. I could die about the last week. The dome, all the getting together. There wasn't a mask worn in that entire celebration, including by the governor. It's just the messaging is atrocious. It's a slap in the face.
Now, the governor's office shared this picture with us showing the governor wearing a mask at the Dome yesterday. Governor Noem responded.
I did wear a mask at the USD Dome, and people that were there will tell you that I did the entire time until a group of young boys asked me to take a picture with them without a mask on. But I did follow the Board of Regents policies, and I do wear a mask where it's appropriate.
Not long.
Boom. You all see that, right? That was just a bold-faced lie. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This governor said she wore the mask the entire time except for, I guess, to take some pictures with these guys or whatever. Well, this scene right here and a couple other scenes, she's not wearing a mask, and she's in other people's face that are not wearing masks. Okay, just to give you all a heads up, this governor, I saw some footage and I don't have it and I can't get it. I don't know where is it at. I saw it on the Joy Reid show. Okay, it's on MSNBC, and somehow it was like a blurb on the radar, like boop, and it happened. It was like maybe 30 seconds worth, but I can't find that. Maybe I have to look at MSNBC or whatever. So what happened was she was at his rally, you know, looking all fly with her coat on outside and basically having joy in the fact that her being the leader of her state, this governor, basically saying we don't have a mask mandate. In other words, like she has this attitude like we don't need to wear our mask. You know, it was just terrible. I wish I had shown that footage. I was looking for it. I'm sorry, I don't have it. But the thing is, it's still showing this narrative, the fact that she doesn't wear masks, she doesn't condone wearing masks, and she won't have a mask mandate for her state. Okay, roll it.
After Noem's comment aired on KELOLAND News, viewers sent us more pictures showing the governor at the Dome. While one does show her standing up with a group of boys, some of the others appear to be taken in different parts of the building. In one, she's standing by some seats. In another, she's on the stairs. We reached out to the governor's office to explain the new pictures. We'll post that response on KELOLAND.com.
I'm Governor Chris.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that was quick. Sorry about that. This right here is like a public service announcement type of thing. And she's basically showing you her responsibility, like her sense of being responsible as the leader of her state. Okay, but I want you all to notice the right top corner, a couple things I threw in there at appropriate times, I believe. Roll it.
Kristi Noem. Together, we've done a good job fighting COVID-19 without shutting our state down. But but this is still a marathon, not a sprint. Let's continue using common sense and good hygiene. Wash your hands, monitor yourself for symptoms, and stay home if you are sick. And let's thank our amazing healthcare workers. We all have the same goal, making South Dakota safer, stronger, and healthier. Together, we will get through this.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to show you all that because if you think about it, she's just lying. I mean, I'm sorry. You're just lying. You know what? I'm sorry. It's almost like the text, like I said before, like in previous episodes where I said the things that God hate in Proverbs, we're talking about, I'm sorry. What was that? You just gonna show me something? Oh no, okay, look. So the things that God hate, and one thing in particular is shedding the blood of the innocents. And I'm looking at, here you are, the leader of your state. That's a lot of people. Okay. I mean, maybe not a whole lot like, you know, like New York or Illinois or California, but boom, you got some people that are under you. And you need to lead the charge and basically say, let's be responsible because we have a pandemic. Please wear your mask. I'm gonna have a mask mandate because it's a good thing to wear your mask. And I'm telling you, people right now are not wearing their masks like they should. Okay, so let me go over a couple things right now. I think this is the first one right here. Let me see. Yes. Okay. So over here, it says researchers identify features that could make someone a virus super spreader. Okay. This came from physiology.org or phys.org, November 19, 2020. I'm going to read a couple things so y'all can see. This super spreader thing is it's a crazy thing. When you think about super spreader, it sounds like it is because that's what it is, you know, spreading the virus, but like on a massive scale. It says new research from the University of Central Florida has identified physiological features that could make people super spreaders of viruses such as SARS-CoV-2, which is the COVID-19. In a study appearing this month in the Journal of Physics of Fluids, researchers in UCF's Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering used computer-generated models to numerically simulate sneezes, like that, sneezes in different types of people and determine associations between people's physiological features and how far their sneeze droplets travel and linger in the air. They found that people's features, physical features, like a stopped up nose or a full of set of teeth, I mean, I guess you can have gaps in your teeth too, so all those factors play a part, could increase their potential to spread viruses by affecting how far droplets travel when they sneeze. Now, I just want you all to think about this because there's a chart. Matter of fact, there's 4 charts, but I had my wife blow them up individually because I want you all to see this example. Now, before we do, I seen this in, I think it was Encyclopedia Britannica, and it was showing a guy sneezing, you know, black and white because it's old school, you know, and she sneezed, achoo, and then it went out. And I said, wow, you know, that was amazing how that it can do that. And this is just showing an example. Now I'm going to wait, but I'm going to read because I want to go in order of how they came up with these numbers. Because the chart says case A. And one moment. I'm sorry, you all. Give me one moment. I want to make sure I can follow this. Okay. Oh, I don't know if this has that on there. Okay, but let me read this anyway because I think it's going to still tie in. So yeah, let's try to do that. But I don't want to show them the chart. I don't want to show them the chart yet. Okay, here we go. It says, okay, but when people's noses are congested, the area that the sneeze can exist or exit is restricted, thus causing sneeze droplets expelled from the mouth to increase in velocity. Similarly, teeth also restrict the sneeze's exit area and cause droplets to increase in velocity. Now it says teeth create a narrowing effect in the jet that makes it stronger and more turbulent, like goes out like that, Kinzel says. They actually appear to drive transmission in your teeth. So if you see someone without teeth, that's weird. If you see someone without teeth, you can actually expect a weaker jet from the sneeze from them. Okay. And they said they found that thinner saliva resulted in sneezes comprised of smaller droplets, which created a spray and stayed in the air longer than medium and thick saliva, which makes a lot of sense. Now, let me show you all this chart right here. This is case A. I don't have the details about it, but from what I remember, do you have that? I had it on my phone. Okay. He's sneezing in case A. And I believe what I'm seeing is they have their nostrils. I believe it is stopped up. I think that's what it is. And they're sneezing, like achoo. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next one because I'm trying to see how this goes. And then this one, I think it was they were sneezing, and I wish, I'm so sorry. You know what? That I apologize because I wanted to describe it exactly how this case study went. But this one is more like they have their nostrils or their teeth are in play, which doesn't make sense exactly because when we get to the last one, that teeth thing is the key. Let's go to the next one. Okay, and this is, this is supposed to be C. For some reason, when they did it on the site, they didn't explain exactly which one is which. I had to basically break it down to my wife and say, this is the one. But let's look at the last one. This is where the nostrils are stopped up and it's just the teeth only. And they chew. And I think that's exactly what I seen when I saw in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Like, boom, it just came right out. But you don't see that with the naked eye. But for some reason, if you have like a black cloth or something like that, and the light is shown right, you can see those droplets come right out, jet out. And like I said, the turbulence comes right out. So this is what's happening if you're sneezing through your teeth. Now, I don't know. I mean, some people sneeze through the nostrils. I've done that before. I've done that, through my teeth. But this is what's messed up. I was talking over some things in the car with my wife. I'm sitting there in the driver's seat and we're just talking. Well, I'm talking, right? And I mean, I feel kind of funny saying this, but I mean, it is a natural phenomenon. When you're talking, there's spittle. But it was weird because it wasn't just like one droplet or two droplets. It was more like a, and as I was talking to her, I'm taking notes. I'm like thinking about, interesting. And then it didn't happen all the time. It happened every now and then. And I was like, interesting. Like I was kind of fascinated, but I was like disturbed because I kept thinking all the time that we being up in people's face, just face to face. Even if you are like, let's say about 4 or 5 to 6 feet, you're still spraying when you're talking. There was a situation where there was a choir rehearsal, 52 people. One person had the COVID, and I'm pretty sure while they were singing, praise the Lord, boom, all this spittle, spray, going all over the place, and all of them got the COVID. But check this out. This one really disturbed me. Is this it? This is it. Here we go. This is messed up, you all. Okay. This came from people.com. This was a wedding. And I hope, yes, good. I'm glad. See, I have my wife do this. I have her highlight the key points because it'd be a lot, And I want to make sure that you all understand the gist of this. So let me read it and you all can see. This was a wedding during the COVID time. Matter of fact, it was pretty recent. Remember Halloween? A lot of people like to go out for some reason. And this is what was happening on Halloween. It says nearly half of the 83 guests at an Ohio wedding got COVID, including the bride and the groom. It says along with the couple, 32 guests have tested positive for COVID-19, including 3 of their grandparents, 2 of whom went to the ER. That was messed up. And that was on October 31st. Let me continue. Now, this is an Ohio wedding with 83 guests has turned into a super spreader event after nearly half of the attendees, along with the bride and groom, tested positive for COVID-19. Now, it says the bishop says they took some precautions. They had masks and hand sanitizer available when guests walked in from the indoor ceremony, and tables were spaced for social distancing. But the large wedding turned into a super spreader event. This is what I think the bride said, and I quote, "My big moment, honestly, was right when the ceremony started and the doors opened and both my parents walked me down the aisle. The first thing I see everyone's face. And that's when I realized, wow, nobody's wearing a mask." And I end of quote. Now, Michaela, that's her name. And she says in a quote, "I'm walking down the aisle. We can't do anything now." I'm sorry, stop right there. Yes, you could. You can say, wait a minute, stop you all, put your mask on. Something, anything. Because some people did die, didn't they?
I think so.
It was 2 people that died. I'm just letting you all know. And right now, the hospitals are full. This is pretty bad. Now, I'm gonna read this too. I know you didn't highlight it, but it says, this is the groom, right? The groom. This is what he says. I think his name is Anthony. Okay. He says, "Oh, sorry. Hold on. Okay. When I saw everyone not wearing masks, I was just like, well, I guess we're just gonna kind of go with it, I guess." That's what he says. That's messed up. Okay, so the reception. Okay. Oh, this is it. I'm sorry. This is it. Think about it. Weddings have receptions. Okay. The reception, they say, is when any COVID-19 precautions were completely ignored. Okay. This is Michaela again. Yeah, Michaela. Here she goes again. "I would say that's the turning point. After dinner and after cake," Michaela said. Okay. She says again, and I quote, "That's maybe the super spreader." So she know about the super spreader thing. "The dance floor." She said the dance floor. Did you hear me? The dance floor. "Everybody is in each other's face with no mask." End of quote. That's Michaela. It's terrible. Just saying, this is messed up. In conclusion, Ohio has since placed some restrictions on weddings held in the state, allowing no more than 10 people at a table. Okay, real quick. I think it was this. Okay, we said 83 were at the wedding, right? They wanted to have, I think it was like 200, right? But then they scaled it down to 83. It still didn't work. It's messed up. Okay, so allowing no more than 10 people at a table, no dancing, and requiring masks at all times, except for eating and drinking. Keep that in mind. Except for eating and drinking, because of course you can't wear a mask while you're eating. You're talking and you're whatever. Okay, it says, however, there is not a limit on guests. Am I reading that right? However, there is not a limit on guests. It is saying that. Why is it saying there's no limit on guests? You didn't tell me this. This is messed up. Okay, there's no limit on guests. The state is currently dealing with their largest spike in cases yet, and new infections have soared by 118% in the last 2 weeks. Okay, according to New York Times. Okay, this is bad, you all. No limit on guests. I mean, well, tell that to the fire marshal. I'm just saying, like, that's crazy. Okay, so that was one thing. I was gonna say this for next week, but you know what? I'm gonna say it now. there was a tragedy, and it touched me so bad. Like, my wife and I, we have this granddaughter. We have our granddaughter, right? And, you know, before COVID, she used to come over here. She used to watch Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig, remember I told you about Peppa Pig? Okay, and we had fun together, right? Okay, and it was just sad because, you know, we don't hang out as much. But then there was one tragedy. This 5-year-old girl, okay? Does it make a difference what nationality? Not really, but she was white. And what happened was she loved Peppa Pig, right? Okay, and at the same time, she wanted to go back to school. I think it was like her first time going back to school, 5 years old. I think it was kindergarten, right? And she was excited. And then all of a sudden she started feeling, help me out. What did she feel? Like this, just down and, you know, out of it, okay? So the mom naturally would take her to the ER. And 5 days later, she died. Tore me apart. I mean, my wife and I was looking at, I guess we feel the same emotions when it come down to that. And we thought about our little granddaughter. Oh, it was so messed up. It's terrible because I think the mom said, we did all the precautions. We wore masks. I think she said that. But you know what? I like I said, I do like health seminars and things like that. And I focus on this thing called saboteur sleuth. Oh, yes. And the little girl would tell her mom, make sure you wear your mask. The little girl, you know? So she cares about mom and her mom's health and stuff and her welfare. But it's weird because you have to become a saboteur sleuth. Now, what is a saboteur sleuth? This is a saboteur sleuth. Now, you know, like you got a sleuth, you got the big old magnifying glass and you're looking for clues. That's what you have to do in life. Remember, life is a lesson. Learn from it. And God expects no less of his children to do the same. So when I'm looking at being a saboteur sleuth, you just can't say, oh, I wore my mask and everything is all good. Remember I told you all, when you're talking, it's spray. It might not be at every syllable, but you can count on certain syllables. You can count on P's, B's, oh, definitely S's and T's and K's and things like that. Oh, yeah. And I think that's the time that it probably did spray. I should have checked it and looked at the clock or whatever and then say, oh, yeah. Or look at the camera or whatever. And every time I said like a T or S or something like that, I bet you that was a spray. It's a natural phenomenon. We all do it. I mean, this is a little off the subject, but I want to mention this real quick. So you know how like you have microphones, like this is a microphone, okay? And it's a condenser mic, a large diaphragm condenser mic that's broadcast quality. You can obviously hear that. But the thing is, this microphone, it's just one microphone, but let me paint the picture. At a lot of different functions, churches and wherever, you have microphones. And a lot of people use the same microphone and they're spitting, boo, boo, on the microphone, tuh, and all that kind of stuff. And what's happening is, I tell my wife this, and she knows what I'm about to say. Afterwards, you come to the microphone, you got stink mic. I'm sorry, you got stink mic because everybody's spit is on this microphone. I'm sorry. So the thing is, that's why you're always supposed to wash the covering on your microphone or whatever. And keep it clean and stuff like that. But you should definitely not use a microphone with your mouth all up on it. I know it gets a little louder when I do that. But the thing is, you all can hear me. You don't need me right up on the microphone. Yeah, you can talk with a mask on. But I'm talking about, like, let's say pre-COVID. Let's say let's say we didn't have a COVID. You still shouldn't be doing that. I see people's mouth all up on the microphone. And not just at churches, but I be seeing like on TV, that'd be like performers. I'm like, how can you do that? Somebody else use that microphone. You don't know where their mouth been? That's what I be thinking. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I'm just letting you all know what I do for myself. I don't want to stink mic. So yeah, there's no covering over there. That's just for, my production quality, or production value, or whatever. But right here, I'm gonna be quiet so you ain't gonna hear me for a moment. I do this. Y'all see that? Real quick, my little trade secret. That is a membrane that I created myself, do it yourself, And what happened was I put a coffee filter on there because I could put a whole big old thing, but then it'd be this big old sponge looking thing on there, and I don't want that, you know, and I don't think you all want that either. But it keeps me from spitting on my diaphragm. I mean, that's very expensive diaphragm in there. You don't want that, no spit on there, okay? So the thing is, here you are just talking, and you're covered, your microphone. I mean, you all can do that. So the bottom line is, we just gotta just be aware that we all have the natural phenomenon of spittle when we speak, when we sing, when we, talking, when we laugh, all of that. It's for real, you all. And can you spread the virus that way, or any virus? Yes, you can. Please, y'all. If you don't believe me, believe the science. Okay, so let's go into our wholeness walk. We're still back on this thing. I want to focus on filtered air. Okay, so I filtered my microphone. But you all can filter your air that comes in. And one way to do it, of course, is with a mask. Okay, now I really like this one. This right here is from Hain. And I think the reason why I really like it is because they have the bridge of your nose covered, and it clamps on your nose. Just like a regular other mask would do, the 3-layer ones that you see. But you can wash them. And there's several layers in there. I felt them. And it's very good, and it's very comfortable. You said 3 layers? Okay, I didn't feel 3 layers, but okay, I feel at least 2 layers. Or maybe there's 3. Okay, yeah. So when you wash them and you put them in the dryer and stuff, you got to kind of do this. And I've seen a nurse do this. She did this. Let me see. She pulled it apart, and you can do like this. Because when things do shrink. And then you're like, okay, I can put my mask on. Ta-da! And you can talk with your mask. It may be a little muffled, but most people can hear you if you're speaking up loud enough. Also, there's other different types of masks. Like I like this one too. My wife doesn't like this one. It has a little bridge thing, 3 layers. And it's one of those copper masks, okay? I think you can get like 2 for $15 or whatever, like a Home Depot or wherever. And, adjustable for your ear and things like that, okay? A little fashionable, whatever. I mean, but you have all kinds of masks. There's one mask in particular I have to show you all. Yes, it's good for you because it has these vents, these air vents. This has 2 of them. It has a filter in there. Oh, wow. Nice filter, charcoal. Really, it just came apart. Okay, but you get the point. And then what happened is you put this on, and as you're breathing, the air, give me a second. The air is filtered going in, but going out, it's not. And I think when my wife first told me that, my heart dropped because I kept thinking to myself, like, I don't want to, I mean, if I had a cold or flu or anything like that, I wouldn't want to spread it. So if you all understand what I'm saying, these little air vents, and I think a lot of people are starting to wear these now, because maybe not just they look cool, but because they actually help you to breathe a little bit better. I mean, I don't know if I should say that because now you probably think, oh, let me get one of them because I can breathe better. Yeah, you can breathe pretty good. It's really good, like, because they have these vents that let your air exhaust out. But it's not good for the person in front of you because that's your vapor and stuff like that going to them. So I don't recommend these. I don't think anybody recommends these because it's good for you, but not good for the people around you. Okay, so here's some benefits right quick for filtered air. Okay, it removes triggers for asthma attacks. Because a lot of people be thinking about, I'm wearing these masks and they're good for nothing, or they're good for just COVID. No, these masks can help you to be able to prevent you from breathing in all kinds of foreign matter. I mean, we got pollen and all kinds of stuff. And here you are wearing a mask. I mean, we just happen to be in a pandemic, but then you're wearing this mask and it gives you other layers of protection against pollen and stuff like that, dander and whatever, against anything, dust, allergens, whatever. Lessens contamination in hospitals and health clinics too. Okay. Now, when I think about people going to school, I don't condone this, but it is what it is. You have kids going to school. You have elderly in the nursing homes and places like that. They should be wearing their masks right now. And I believe that's the case. But then not every moment you will see a child wearing a mask. Sometimes you'll see this. underneath your nose. Or you might see this. Now, I've done that, but what is this about? I may be in my car and I'm driving, but as soon as I get out my car, boop, I put on my whole mask. I'm just saying stuff like that. But if you're around other people, you need to wear your mask at all times, especially with the spittle, just talking. It's crazy. So I think that's it for that, right? So let's go into our topic of the day. Okay, America's Dark Past, part 5. Now, you're probably thinking, how many parts is it to this thing? Let me give you all a heads up. There's 2 more. And the reason why it's 2 more is because I figured out you just can't talk about America's past in 1 or 2 episodes. You just can't do it. But I'm giving you all a heads up. This episode right here is focusing on civil rights. I can't cover every aspect of it, but I asked you all a question last week. I said, what event kind of like kicked off the civil rights movement? I wonder if it could be 1 or 2 events. So this right here, this right here is what I was going to focus on. Now, of course, his name is up there. I was going to try to surprise people, but I think everybody knows Emmett Till. Okay. Now, at the time, he was 14 years old. He lived in Chicago. I think it was 62nd or 64th in South St. Lawrence in Chicago. Okay. And his name was Bobo. That's his nickname. Bobo Till, you know. And basically, he's a Chi-Town boy. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, innocent, cool looking kid, nice kid, right? But you know what? He had a certain type of flavor in his demeanor, if I could put it that way. Okay, this is the story real quick. I kind of wanted to pause real quick because I wanted to make sure. Are we covering the? Okay, good. I'm glad you did that. Okay, so we'll go over the next story after this one. So Emmett Till. Let's focus on Emmett Till. Okay. Now, he wanted to go down south with his relatives. Yeah. And what happened was his mom did not want him to go down south. His mom was like, oh no, you know, because she kind of knows her son, how his demeanor is and all that kind of stuff. You know, they don't take too kindly to city slickers, if I could put it that way. So the mom is like, you know, trying to school him on some things and let him know, you know, I don't know if that's a good idea for you to go down south. But then Matilda's just begging his mom. He wants to go down south and basically puts the pressure on her. So the mom basically gives in, but she says, like I said, let me school you on a couple things. Hopefully that will do the trick. Well, we all kind of know the story of Emmett Till. It kind of did not work, but he went down there anyway. So the story goes, as he went to, what is it? The store. Okay. I'm not going to go into details about the store, but this is the store. Okay. And he went to the store, and in his store, there was a white Southern woman. Okay. Very attractive. And she basically was, you know, manning down that's her right there. Okay. Bryant. Was that Carolyn Bryant? Okay. Now, she was basically manning down the store, or womaning down the store, if I can put it that way. And basically, to move on with the story, Emmett Till, as the story goes, this is all about the story goes, because I don't know all the details, and I think a lot of people don't know all the details about what happened. All it was said was that she said that he was flirting with her. Okay, you're probably thinking, okay, is there anything wrong with flirting? Well, remember, you're down south. This white woman and this black boy basically saying woo or whatever. And then what happened was word got back to her husband. Now, Emmett Till basically went back to his relative's house. Okay, I think he was a preacher, right? Yeah, because his aunt, I believe. Yeah. So they're back at the house, and what happened was, they hanging out or whatever. But thing is, the word got out about, hey, this happened at the store. And then I think it was, who was that? Was it his cousin or somebody? She was like, yeah, but the who said, maybe you should go back. Cousin. She's like, and she's young. She's like, maybe you should go back home because, we know how it is down south. But what happened was, I think the aunt, she was basically kind of downplaying it, making it seem like, you know what, it's no big deal. But see, you got to take heed. The Bible says, if you think you stand, take heed lest ye fall. See, that's the thing. She thought she stood. I mean, she's a preacher's wife, whatever. She should have said, wait a minute, we know how it is down here, and more than likely nothing won't happen. And I'm picking up maybe because of that behavior, maybe Emmett Till was looking at it like, oh, is she thinking about it as kind of a light thing? Maybe it is. It's no big deal. Okay, so playing along. And what happened was he decided to stay. But she basically painted the picture that it was all okay. Stay. You can stay. You know, you visiting us. Come on, stay. So then what happened was nighttime came. What time was that? Around 2 a.m.? It was, yeah, about 2 a.m. And of course, the husband. What was his name? I'm all over the place with this. Well, you know, it's Mr. Bryant. Mr. Bryant, okay? Oh, that's his name. Yeah, there you go. That's him. Roy Bryant, okay? And his half-brother, J.W. Milan, okay? Now, that was the court thing going on. But that's them. So on the left was, of course, you know, her husband. They going over there thinking, hey, this Chi-Town boy, this city slicker, whatever, we're going to teach him a lesson. Now pay attention to this, because the focus is about, let's teach him a lesson, okay? Some of you all might not know the story about what really happened, because you might be thinking, oh my goodness, you've seen the horrific pictures of Emmett Till in the casket and so forth. But look, so they basically said, come on out. I mean, no. They asked the question, are you the one? They ain't get into details, but are you the one? Yeah, I'm the one. Now this is Emmett Till responding. And then I guess it was like, boy, you know, like, you don't talk to me like that. I guess they were looking at it like, where is the so-called submissiveness of the so-called Negro, you know? And they didn't get that, you know, the brother and the brother, so to speak. They didn't get that. It was like, whoa, you know? But anyway, come on out. So this is the typical scene that you would get when you have what you call a lynching. But this wasn't what you call the typical lynching. This was more like according to them, we want to teach him a lesson, meaning we want to rough him up, you know, teach him a lesson, rough him up. The intent was not to take his life. Okay, just follow me, because some people might say, oh, no, their intent was to, let me explain. So then what happened was he finally comes out after the reluctance of everyone in the household, of course, but he comes out like, okay. They asked him, you know, put on your shoes and come on out. He said, I got to put on my socks and my shoes. He's come on out. So he comes out, and he's focused on them, thinking, okay, what up? They tell him to get up in the truck. So he gets in the truck. And I was thinking about, like, he seems pretty cooperative, you know, for somebody who's about to get roughed up. I mean, I don't know if he knew that he was going to get roughed up or not. I'm not sure about that. All I know is that, you know, we got to have at least a vision in our mind, you know, to think about what could possibly happen. You know, we're supposed to watch as well as pray. And I'm picking up that, was he praying? I don't know. So he's in the truck. And there was many times where they were trying to drive somewhere in particular. Let me get it right. They wanted to drive him to a peak that was at least 100 feet drop, that goes into water that's another 100 feet drop or deep. 100 feet drop, 100 feet deep in the water. That's where they wanted to take him. So they're driving and they can't really find a place because it's at nighttime. You know, it was the brother, not the husband. It was the brother trying to find this place because they wanted to really scare him. Okay, so what happened was it got really, really late, and Emmett Till basically sitting in the back, cooperative. And I'm thinking there were many times that he could have just ran off. But I guess he's down south. He don't know where he's going. So I guess it got to the point where, you know, make a long story short, it gets to the morning time, I think. And they had him get what was that? Oh, sorry, you're right. They beat him up. They roughed him up. Remember I tell you they're going to rough him up? They did that. And basically, he was basically saying, oh, they roughed him up. How? My wife just pointed it out. Okay. They had a 45. Okay. A gun. Okay. Really heavy gun. Okay. You know, gunmetal is heavy. Okay. So they were roughing him up. Okay. hitting him in the head and so forth. Now I'm picking up to myself like, okay, so at a certain point, Emmett Till's either crying, he feels bad, he's hurt or whatever. Of course he's hurt, but somehow he still had the attitude. Now this is weird. He had the attitude that so many words, I could take this, so to speak. Like I think when someone try to beat you up, they're basically trying to break your spirit, so to speak. So he had this so-called spirit of like, I'm gonna stand my ground, so to speak, And then let's get to the morning. So in the morning, what happened? It was the thing that they put around his neck, like a fan thing. Yeah, okay. And with barbed wire, it was pretty bad, but he wasn't dead yet. They still had a 45. Okay, but this is what Emmett Till basically was saying. And I want to say it verbatim because I want you all to understand, what was really happening here. Remember, life is a lesson, learn from it. So remember I said his name was Bobo? So that's his name, Bobo. I'm not going to read the other part because there's a little, I think, profanity in there. So let's go past that. Bobo says, and I quote, I'm not afraid of you. I'm as good as you are. I've had white women. My grandmother was a white woman. And I could just imagine right now. Just look at that picture real quick. Now, these are the guys you're talking to. These guys right here. You're talking to them. Remember that. Keep that in mind. Now, come back to me. Now, Malam, that's the one on the right. He says, and I quote, well, what else could we do? He was hopeless. This is the court statement. This is what his testimony, okay? I'm no bully. I never hurt a nigger in my life. I like niggers in their place, meaning I like them when they're in their place. Remember I told you about they want to keep us in our place? And it says, I know how to work them, but I just decided it was time a few people got put on notice. As long as I live, I can do anything about it. Niggers are going to stay in their place. Now, this is what the brother said. This is terrible. That's their ideology. Okay? Niggers ain't going to vote where I live. Remember I told you about the voting thing? They don't want us to vote. I don't care how educated you are or whatever. They don't want us to have any political power. They don't. That's terrible. If they did, they'd control the government. Of course, if you vote. They ain't gonna go to school with my kids. That's what he says. And when a nigger gets close to mentioning sex with a white woman, he's tired of living. Now, let me stop there for a moment. Let's think about this. Let's just say that's the case. Let's say Emmett Till did really say what he said. He said, I had white women. Now, he's telling these white guys this. I can just imagine it right now. These white men are infuriated. Now, remember, this is their way of life. They look down upon us. I don't care if you came from Chicago or you live down south. You are not in your place when you talk outside of things in authority, but especially with their white women. That's terrible. I mean, because I could just see it crescendoed from, let's teach him a lesson to, oh no, we're going to take you out. And it's messed up. So when we look at it, it says, and I quote, I'm likely to kill him because of this. That's what he says. I'm likely to kill him. Me and my folks fought for this country. That's what they think. And we got some rights. So do black people. I stood there in that shed and listened to that nigger throw that poison at me. And I just made up my mind. Chicago boy said, I'm tired of them sending your kind down here to stir up trouble. He said some other choice words. But this is messed up because I keep thinking to myself, okay, I know there's more, and I know you try to like highlight some of the main points, but the main thing is we're going to go over a couple more things, but let's focus on the fact that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. With all you're getting, get understanding. Now, I'm not sure exactly what his mom could have told him to prepare him for what was ahead of his, trip down south. But all I know is that life is a lesson and we need to learn from it. I mean, I know that we should probably stand our ground. I get that. But there's certain situations, and this is just me. This is just my take on it. There's certain situations where I think you need to, I hate to say the word stay in your place. That's not what I'm trying to say. I think you need to be still and know that he's God. Because I think he would have came out of it okay. But instead, this happened. And you all know the picture. Yeah, that's terrible. Now, a lot of people look at that, and I don't want to keep showing that, so let's move away from that. Okay. I know it looked very horrific, but remember when he basically had this thing around his neck and the barbed wire, they shot him, okay? And he went into the water. So that grotesque look that you're seeing, that's because of the decomp and also because of the water. And of course, that's what made his face swell like it did. So it made it even look even worse than what really happened at the time. But nevertheless, that is still an image of hate. We all should know that, Now here's God. He hates certain things. But then here you have his creation hating each other. And I'm telling you, God don't want us to hate one another. And that image right there, I don't care how many rights you think you have or whatever, or how much you stand your ground. I'm just letting you all know. It's just one of those things where it's like you just still got to draw the conclusion. Vengeance is God's. Vengeance is his. Now, my wife just pointed out this because this is the point. Proverbs 6:17, which says, this is the things that God hates. This is, like it says, a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. Well, everyone knows that Emmett Till was innocent. I mean, he didn't do anything because later on, Carolyn? I'm sorry. Carolyn Bryant, the store proprietor, she basically admitted she lied. He did not do the so-called woo or whatever she said he did in the beginning, and cost that boy's life. It's terrible because you know what? That is a commandment. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy brother, against thy neighbor. I'm saying brother, against thy neighbor. Okay. Let's go over the other point. You got it? Because around that time, Emmett Till, because that was around 1955. No, we good. 1955. There's something else that happened, and I want you all to see this. Okay. No, go back one more. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't have it. Let me see. Okay, let's go right here because I want to go back. Keep this one. Look at this one. In case y'all didn't know, there was a 15-year-old girl, okay? She was guilty in a bus seat case, okay? I'm not going to go into details about that, but this right here is like a mix-up. Most people didn't know this, okay? I'm not sure if you all know about this, okay? And her name was Sullivan. That's her last name? Claudette Sullivan, right? Colvin, right. Claudette Colvin. Okay. Now, you all remember Rosa Parks, right? Rosa Parks on the bus got arrested because she didn't give up her seat, right? That's Rosa Parks. And of course, Rosa Parks went to prison or jail. Okay, that's Rosa Parks. But I want you all to know something. This is Rosa Parks, but that's Claudette Colvin, the one that you all saw. Okay, she basically was the person originally that said, hey, I'm not giving up my seat. Now, there were many people that didn't give up their seat before, but hers had the headlines. Why? Because she spoke her rights. She said her rights. And this is what she said when that happened, when they were trying to get her out of her seat. She said, and I quote, go over here. She said, I felt like Sojourner Truth was pushing down on one shoulder and Harriet Tubman was pushing down on the other, saying, sit down, girl, so that she didn't give up her seat. Okay, now I'm just looking at it like that moment was monumental, but most people didn't know about it. So NAACP basically said, we don't know if we want to use her as the poster child for the so-called movement. But show them the other one real quick. Show them the other one, because the other slide, if you have that, it was the reason why the NAACP chose not to use her. A lot of people didn't know this either. We don't have it? No, I'll just tell you. Because she was a 15-year-old girl, okay? She didn't have what you call that look. Even NAACP was thinking weird. I'm not going to go into details about that because, you know, even amongst our own people, we have weird thinking. I'm going to say weird. I'm going to leave it at that. But she was also pregnant. Okay, a lot of people didn't know that. So Rosa Parks basically, you know how like you playing football or whatever, and you pass the ball. So they like passed the ball to Rosa Parks. She was the one sitting in the seat, you know, and then boom, she was the poster child, which basically started the so-called civil rights movement then. A lot of people think the civil rights movement started with Rosa Parks, but technically it started kind of like with Claudette Colvin. But it didn't get the steam. NAACP had Rosa Parks to do it. Okay, now I want to show a quick video right quick. I know that a lot of these things are like detailed oriented. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a couple of points, but I have a video that I want to show, and then we're going to kind of like tie it all in. So this one is basically talking about what happened next in the civil rights movement, because that happened in 1955. Yeah, right? So this is what happened in 1957, I believe. But something happened in 1954, which you had Brown versus the Board of Education, which was supposed to be, you know, saying segregation was not equal. We're supposed to have desegregation. You know, everyone's created equal, and we're supposed to be able to, you know, go to schools where everyone else is going. We're talking about the white people, okay, because they had the best education. Well, put it this way, they had the best schools. Well, put it this way, they had the best funding. You know, and think about it. We didn't have the funding and stuff like that. So a lot of white people said, you all stay in your own schools. You know, okay, we wouldn't mind. That's why I said I'm not really against segregation to a certain degree. Okay, if you want us to be separate, let us be equal, because we didn't have the equality. We didn't have the funding. We didn't have different things like that. We didn't have the same setup that they had. And so we basically got the butt end of the stick. But let me show you this real quick. And I know we're kind of going into time, but if you all can bear with me. This is kind of going into that time about the Arkansas 9, or the Little Rock 9, where they were going to school. Yeah, the black kids going to a white school, Central High. Is that it? You got it?
What about you, sir? Do you think the colored students will show up? If I got anything to do with it, they won't show up. Well, I think it's a breaking point of the school integration. I just don't feel that they have a right to go to school with them.
It is easy to believe today that we are an enlightened society, free from problems of race, gender, or economic separation. But some of the most difficult lessons we learn are a result of individuals who push us through these divisive barriers. In September of 1957, 9 black school children, the eldest only 17, forced us through such a blockade. They sought a better education for themselves and the opportunity to pursue the American dream.
This is Central High School, Little Rock, Arkansas. Troops, which for nearly 3 weeks lined the sidewalk here in front of the high school under orders to keep the colored students out, have been replaced now, and their orders to comply with the law, which means let the Negro students in if they come in.
We were Terrence Roberts, Jefferson Thomas, Thelma Mothershed, Elizabeth Eckford, Ernest Green, Carlotta Walls, Melba Patillo, Minnie Jean Brown, and Gloria Ray.
They became known as the Little Rock 9. The 1954 Supreme Court ruling on Brown versus the Board of Education found segregation of schools unconstitutional. But as the Little Rock 9 approached the high school, segregationists swarmed the campus.
They got no business out here. This is our school, not theirs. They are their own.
As the violence escalated, one schoolgirl, Elizabeth Eckford, was threatened by an angry mob chanting, "Lynch her, lynch her." President Dwight Eisenhower intervene in Little Rock and set a precedent for our nation as a whole.
Such an extreme situation has been created in Little Rock. This challenge must be met, and with such measures as will preserve to the people as a whole their lawfully protected rights in a climate permitting their free and fair exercise. In the present case, the troops are there pursuant to law, solely for the purpose of preventing interference with the orders of the court.
On September 25, 1957, the 101st Airborne Division and 10,000 National Guard troops escorted the Little Rock Nine as they walked bravely past screaming mobs and made their way to the classrooms of Little Rock Central High School.
Just got a report here on this end that the students are in.
Do you feel it's worth it going through this?
Yes, I do.
These 9 heroes were willing to step forward and in doing so altered the course of history. Marquette University is honored to bestow upon them the Pierre Marquette Discovery Award for this extraordinary contribution to the advancement of education for all people. The Little Rock Nine stand not just for racial equality, but also for the promise upon which our society is founded: opportunity and equality for all willing to strive, struggle, and achieve.
Now, real quick, even though that those kids, those students integrated into a white school, those black kids, it's weird because the NAACP, they basically got them or recruited them. That's what it was. And they started recruiting more and more people, black kids, to go to white schools, to integrate into white schools, to say, hey, you know, we're equal. The thing is, I wanted to say so bad that maybe it catapulted a movement where you had this equality in schools. Down south, that wasn't the case. It was less than 2% black people integrated into the schools. And a lot of the schools that they integrated in got closed down by the white people. They even had Confederate flags and things of that nature. So it wasn't what you call like, yay! I'm just letting you know that's part of the dark past. You know, I mean, I get it. You know, you want to make inroads and you want to do your part to say, I'm an American, meaning black people. But at the same time, I don't know. It's just one of those things where if we could have had our fight, I have to say this, if we could have had our fight not just for rights, but equal rights and equality and focused on, hey, I wouldn't mind having my own as long as we had equality, meaning fight for that equality, the right funding, our neighborhoods and things of that nature, job equality, all of that kind of stuff. I know we fought for that. I got that. But I'm talking about that was the focus and mainly the focus. And then maybe we could have exposed the fact that we shouldn't be having no homegrown terrorists. We should have been exposing that from the very beginning. And don't walk hand in hand and thinking that, oh, we can just talk about freedom and reign and stuff like that. No, we're like, wait a minute. We got some homegrown terrorists. We live in America, land of the free, home of the brave. What are they doing here? No offense. Why are they still around? What's happening here? Can we live hand in hand with them? No, because they hate us. That's what I'm thinking. Like the Bible says, you know, if they don't receive you, kick the dust. And I'm looking at it like maybe, I'm not knocking Frederick Douglass, but I know Frederick Douglass was more like you got to have struggle to have progress. That's what he says. I get it. But at the same time, where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm picking up that maybe we could have kicked the dust and moved west. They did. They did the Kansas thing. You know, they moved out. Not everybody. I get it. What about the people that were left behind? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. All I know is that if we can all humble ourselves, turn away from our wicked ways, he will heal our land. I know he would do that. And I was just thinking about how, you know, the main thing is I want us to be able to get into the mindset of we are our brother's keeper. I get it. To be a Christian, some people think, you know, I can't be like Jesus because that's Jesus. But if you think about it, we are created in his image, after his likeness. We are special We're his children. We should take ownership in that. Why not? You know, I'm looking at it like, yeah, we got a lot of different races out here, but it all came from Adam and Eve. Let's not forget that. So we got different races. You all my brother, everybody. Remember, Father Abraham had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord. I'm looking at it like, why do we have all this so-called not segregation. Why do we have all this discrimination? We're going to go more into that in the next episodes about discrimination and stuff like that when we shouldn't have discrimination. But I do want to focus on how we should think about this assessment. Examine ourselves to see if we're in the faith. Whether you're white, black, Asian, Native American, Hispanic, and the list goes on and on. I know we have a worldwide thing, but I'm just focusing right now a little bit on America, because America, we have a dark past, and a lot of countries are looking at our example and how we hate our brother. I mean, I went over the list of things that happened from the very beginning, from I'm about to say French Revolution, the American Revolutionary War, and the secession and the civil war. And then we had the so-called Jim Crow, and now we got civil rights. I mean, we should all have the same rights, and it should be equality. But why are we not fighting for that? I see some of our people basically gave up on that. And I see some people fighting and struggling. Why we can't all just come together and say, let's have equal rights, all of us. I mean, all of us came from Adam and Eve. Come on. And then as we look at this and we just remind ourselves, again, we all came from Adam and Eve. We have to remind ourselves of that. It's very important. All were created. And I'm looking at it like, how can we live in this earth and hate our brother, whether we white, black, Native American, Asian, or Hispanic? We should not do that. And we need to check ourselves and see if God is really in our life. Is he the apple of our eye? Is he the ruler of our life? Do we look at him and say, hey, you're a genie in the bottle. You're a figment of my imagination. You're just an icon. Or do we say, no, you're the Lord our God, and you are the one we trust. You're the one brought us into the earth, and we know that you are taking care of us. You're providing for us. So I wanted us to just end it on that note. Think about, I did that already. You missed it. I'm sorry. That was funny. So let's just go into our hymn to him, you all. Okay. Lord, I want to be a Christian. What does that mean? This is a Negro spiritual. Last week we had the song, and we didn't have the author. But this one we don't have author either. I mean, I checked it with my wife. I mean, I guess there is an author. Maybe it's anonymous. But the thing is, it's in most hymnals. I don't care what Christian faith you're in. This song is in your hymnal. I know that. Okay. But the thing is, this song is a Negro spiritual. Even though it's a Negro spiritual, it's for all of us, because we all need to learn how to be a Christian. And we want to be a Christian. Don't we want to be a Christian in our heart? Don't we want that? I mean, I know I do. And I believe that you do too. I believe that's what you want. So let's at least have that desire in our heart to be able to say, you know what? I want that, Lord. Help me, a sinner. See, Jesus came to save sinners. Okay? I'm a sinner in need of a savior. Can we all say that? So when we sing this song, let's think about, that's what we want. We want salvation, and we want it in our heart. That's where it starts. Okay. Little atmosphere. Lord, I want to be a Christian in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be a Christian in my heart, in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be a Christian in my heart. Lord, I want to be more loving in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be more loving in my heart, in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be dwelling in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart, in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart. Amen. Now for a taste of things to come. Real brief, like I said, we covered the civil rights right now. I'm not going to go back into the past of what we covered. You want that? You can go into the previous episodes. But discrimination. I don't know exactly what you would call that title other than discrimination, because we do go into the final thing, which we call systemic racism. I want us to be able to at least see clearly that we should not, or should I say, we should remember the past so we won't repeat it. Now, I want you all, before we get started, before we leave, I want you all to remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I want you to like, share, and comment. And like I said before, I would like for you all to send us an email. Send us an email that lets you know that, hey, you're doing a good job, or hey, we don't like that, or whatever it may be. But remember that that's our contact list. So if you give my wife, your contact information, you'll go into our little pool of boop. You'll get the information, whether we have our show come up and it says notification bell, ding, 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 and some people don't get that. But at least if you're in our contact list, you will get that reminder. So just remember, I love you all. Please be safe. And my hope and prayer is that you have a closer walk with your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Until next time.